In this video, we're going through the 8 common pitfalls that keep most online coaches stuck. And going into 2026, you want to make sure that you avoid these fatal flaws in order to scale your online coaching business. Now, the first thing that I already addressed in a previous video is the importance of premium high ticket pricing. See, if you've got a 6K offer, it's 5 sales a month to do 30 grand. This is exactly what we've done with all these clients, like Brandon, who went from 0 to 30K a month and it took him less than 65 days. Or Brian here, who went from 9 to 5 to 50K a month as a result of adopting that high ticket premium mindset. See, most online coaches now, they're jumping on the bandwagon and they're trying to set up like a low ticket school community, but the numbers just don't make sense. It's 612 active customers at $49 a month to do 30 grand. Whereas clients of ours that adopt that high ticket premium mindset, they go for the 6K closes. It's just 5 of those sales a month. So the very first common pitfall is not adopting high ticket pricing. Okay, it's the very first thing that you need to handle. Now, further to that point, right? Super, super important. Do not sell to broke people. You've got to market to the affluent, because ultimately, just look at this right here. If you remember your like high school civics class or something, right? Or if you ever studied psychology, this right here is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you're a mindset coach, confidence coach, personal development coach, dating coach, pretty much any coaching industry, what you're selling is self-actualization. It's confidence. It's the client feeling like they're living up to their full potential. But if your prospect is paycheck to paycheck, they don't have their physiological needs met, right? In the modern world, that includes their ability to pay rent, to pay off debts, to pay for groceries and their bills, right? And the average American today is living paycheck to paycheck. So if you're selling to somebody who does not have the base level of Maslow's hierarchy handled, they're never going to take 3 or 4 or 5K away from rent in order to invest in confidence. So you've got to market to the affluent. Okay, as I said, most Americans are paycheck to paycheck. And like the statistics show that the average American, 47% of Americans have less than $500 in their bank account. So they're not going to invest 5 or 6 or 7K to get their dating life handled. Okay, so first thing, right? First fatal flaw is not adopting the high ticket pricing. Second fatal flaw is marketing to broke people. Okay, so continuing on here, let's get into it. Number 2, right, or number 3 rather, is not establishing ourselves as an authority, right? Understand that, especially if we're marketing to the affluent, an affluent buyer wants to work with an expert, and experts have proof. Okay, so you've got to position yourself as an expert. Okay, now if you want, you can get access to, I have a power positioning playbook. It's a full 30-minute long video that actually takes you through how to position yourself as an expert literally today. It's a free video. It's on YouTube, but it's hidden. Okay, so click the link down below to get access to this document, and you'll also get access to the power positioning playbook. Okay, fatal flaw number 3. Understand that authority alone isn't actually enough, because we've got to be relatable. Okay, so when you think about somebody like Andrew Tate, right, he flexes a serious amount of authority in his content, right? He's a multiple-time kickboxing world champion. He's got the Lamborghinis. He's got all this authority flex, but he also tells you about the broke days. He also tells you about his days coming up when him and his brother Tristan used to eat people's leftover KFC. Okay, so he tells you about the challenging times. So not only is he positioned as the hero, but you see yourself in the hero's story. And this is super, super important. And it's a core tenet of what we do with clients. Because again, it's not enough just to be positioned as an authority. We've also got to be relatable, because otherwise they wouldn't follow our advice. They wouldn't follow our journey. For example, you wouldn't take business building advice from somebody who inherited all their wealth. You would take business building advice from somebody who built it from the ground up. Why? Because that is relatable to your situation. So if you're a dating coach, right, you're putting out, say, POV content, you approaching women, your prospect will think that's good for him, but he's probably always been like this. your prospect faces approach anxiety and other mindset challenges and limitations, you've got to show your prospect that you were once in the exact same challenge. You were once facing the exact same issues. Okay, your prospect will never buy from you if they don't know and relate to your story. And this is essential, right, for your marketing plan for 2026. Okay, so fatal flaw number 3 is not building relatable authority. Not just being an authority, but we've got to be relatable in order to build connection. Okay. Fatal flaw number 4, not solving a big enough problem. We really want to solve $1 million problem, a problem that's worth paying for. Okay. So dating, masculinity, marriage. I'd say if you're a marriage coach, like my client, Matt ends here. Okay. Whereas Matt will be in here. Okay. So say my client, Matt ends. So say my client Matt Ends here, who does over 70 grand a month. Matt Ends is a marriage coach. Let's think about the consequences for his prospect if that prospect doesn't get his marriage handled. He's going to lose his kids. He's going to lose the woman he loves. He's going to probably lose the house, and he's going to lose half of his shit. So the consequences of inaction for his client are massive, right? So Matt, as a result, is solving a big, big problem, what we would call colloquially $1 million problem. Okay, so we've got to solve a problem worth solving. Okay, and so many coaches, they just don't get this stuff, right? So many people, they'll be positioned as like a breathwork facilitator, and nobody's going to pay 5K to breathe better. Okay, and my client Anton here was in that exact same situation. So Anton used to be a breathwork facilitator. Now he does 100K a month. But what we did was position his offer in a much better way. We took the tools, the mindset, the breathwork tools, physiological tools, all sorts of different things that he had, right? Skills that he had. But instead of just marketing it as, I help people breathe better, he now helps high performer. For example, it's like helping high performing CEOs take control of their physiology, end cycles of burnout, fatigue, and brain fog, and unlock new levels of performance. Okay, Anton, as I said, used to be a breathwork facilitator. We completely changed his message and positioning, and soon he was able to hit his first ever 100K a month. Okay, you're going to be able to see the full 17-minute long video interview that I did with Anton, and we actually go through everything we implemented together. Fatal flaw number 5 is falling victim for bright, shiny object syndrome. I already touched on this with things like school, but so many coaches, they maybe have a big audience or maybe they don't, but they're just hopping on all these different trends of all these different content styles or all these different business models of school communities, or now they're doing email marketing, or now they're running ads. They're doing 1,000 different things and nothing is working for them, right? So they're falling victim to overwhelm and bright, shiny object syndrome. I call this squirrel brain. They're like a squirrel running around trying to get a little tiny nut. And instead, you need to be like a lion going for those high ticket premium prices. Because if you sign one client for 5K, right, that's already so much more revenue than like, yeah, that squirrel running around for a little tiny nut. Okay, so eliminate these fatal flaws. Okay, go for the high ticket premium. Okay, position yourself as an expert. Market to the affluent. Right, build relatability and connection with your audience, not just through your short form content, right? Not through 60-second reels, but build that deep, deep connection, relatability, and authority with your prospect through long form content. Okay, there's been studies done. I used to work for Google, and Google did studies done analyzing trillions of dollars of ad spend. Literally every single ad campaign that was running on Google Ads, that was running on YouTube ads, running on Google search. They analyzed all of it and all the customer journeys, and they saw that the average customer needs 7 hours of time and consumption with a brand in order to buy, in order to know, like, and trust you, right? But at the moment, you're probably just putting out content on Instagram. You're putting out like 60-second reels top of funnel, hoping that people trust you enough that they're just going to show up and ask to buy your stuff. And that just doesn't work. Okay, so we're going to be covering this in a separate video, but this separate video is about the power of the mid-funnel and these mid-funnel longer form content pieces. And this isn't about putting out a video on YouTube every week or every 2 weeks. This is about 2 or 3 very specific pieces of longer form content that will have your prospect feeling deep connection to you and your brand. It will have them knowing your hero's journey inside and out, and it will have them showing up onto your sales call with 10 out of 10 red hot certainty, ready to invest, ready to make the investment, ready to make the commitment. Okay, so moving forward into 2026, eliminate these fatal flaws and set yourself up for success. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.